So let's set the scene. There's a new Indian in town and everyone's raving about it. You decide to take your partner and the waiter goes and sits you down. He asks what drinks you want. You get a lager, or a cider in my case, and then your partner orders theirs. Whilst looking over the 50-60 options on the menu, the waiter brings over your drinks and asks, "Are you ready to order?" Nodding, you ask the waiter, "What's the chef's specialities? What's the best stuff on the menu?" To which the waiter responds, "The chicken madras is highly rated, along with a bit of lamb shank, and also the chicken biryani." You respond in approval as you browse through the list and say, "That sounds absolutely great, mate. But I think I'll have the chicken tikka masala with pilau rice and naan bread and some poppadoms." How original, the waiter responds with a bit of sass. And that's because chicken tikka masala is the most popular dish ordered in the UK. It's safe, it's predictable, you know right away exactly what it's going to taste like. The restaurant can't spice it up with more cream or even a bit of a pinkier sauce, but it will always be exactly as you remember. And that for me is the perfect definition of Zombicide. See, no matter what is on Kickstarter, no matter how amazing they look, those new games are untasted biryanis. They are a risk and you don't want your evening spoiled. So you go for what you know. The safe option that will satisfy you with perceived taste and value. That is Zombicide. So let's begin by saying I've now owned every Zombicide outside of the Night of the Living Dead. And it's no coincidence that I didn't bother with that one, as it's straight from the formula. So it just didn't tickle me taste buds. I've been backing the Kickstarter since Invader, the weakest one for me personally, but I picked the previous ones up online and in shops. In terms of the old games, I've got rid of them all, bar Black Plague and the Green Horde Kickstarter, all in that I picked up a couple of years ago. Every game tried to add something new. Necromancers are my favourite addition to the series, but the core 4S loop of stick together, search, slay and sod off remains the same across the board. In Season 2, we've been gifted child survivors. These all have the slippery skill and act much the same as adult survivors. They just seem to have 2 wounds instead of 3. Setup is a bit easier with doors now shown on the tiles. Zombies now only spawn in dark zones and have the rush card. Molotovs and snipers no longer need to be built. And there's a couple of new game modes, but that's about it if you have been playing all the rest throughout the years, especially Green Horde. This is essentially a better version of the first modern Zombicide. Dashboards are better with your character placed in the middle. You have your 2 hands for equipment on the side. The XP tracker on the bottom has a ratchet system. Your backpack has 3 slots at the top. Your health is displayed on the right side, your perks on the left, and both have holes for trackers. The dashboards have been the same since Black Plague, and they work great. In terms of the rest, zombies now split up in groups of the same type, following line of sight or loudest noise as before. The targeting priority of fatties/abominations getting hit first remains, along with friendly fire, now only giving out damage for missed hits. Those rules are nothing new for vets, so the wheel ain't been broken. All you get is new minis and a modern setting. If that's all you need, like me, because I'm a chicken tikka masala bloke, have at it. You'll love it for what it is, and if you're not a fan, then don't bother with it. Zombicide is Zombicide. Like war, it never changes. But I do have some criticisms, mainly in the missions. There's 26 in the main rulebook with the tutorial. I've played 5 random ones, and whilst playing, I had this sudden sense of deja vu, like there was a glitch in the Matrix, as I can't quite remember the missions that were in the original, but I also picked up the compendiums, and whilst playing the 5 that I did, I suddenly felt like I'd done this all before. Now, I don't have access to the old stuff anymore, but I feel like these missions are recycled. Maybe it's just because it's by far one of the most played board games I've ever had, and there's not much they can do with the tiles that they have. Let's face it, they are just generic streets in a base game, so there's not much for them to do in terms of formula. But for me personally, I was slightly disappointed. Now, with that, and the survivors still not feeling that different until you get them into the reds and unlock their special abilities, which are written on the back of the character cards now. They are my only real big criticisms, especially since most people play random one-off games, so you don't hit the reds very much and experience all the variance amounts of perks on offer. But the expansions here now have added a campaign mode to help you out a little. Both Washington ZC and Fort Hendricks introduce a massive Darkness-esque campaign. You have an extra sheet where you jot down your progress and equipment, and the best additions of the game are not just the new maps, which are set in the White House and a fort respectively, but it's the added time mechanic, which sees time ticking down literally from dusk till dawn. Start at 10 AM and you have great vision as normal, but start at 10 PM and your vision is not just obscured by darkness, but you also now have to use a torch marker to light your way. This mechanic alone should be used in the main game, mainly as it really makes you think about your objectives and how you're going to achieve them whilst the clock ticks down. On many occasions, me and the people I'm playing with have taken it slow. We've stuck together, dealt with zombies in one area whilst we kept our XP still low, and then searched until we had the weapons we wanted with no regard for completing the mission until we felt ready to. Now let me tell you something, brother. That is a very valid tactic, and you can beat nearly all missions so long as you have some characters with slippery skills. But it's not in the spirit of the game, and the ticking clock gets rid of that cheesiness because it ticks by an hour in every end phase. Suddenly, darkness is approaching, and that zombie horde blocking the last objective in the building down the road needs to be dealt with before darkness comes. In the second game I had using it, I actually felt like we needed to split up and deal with all the objectives, and suddenly I felt out of my comfort zone. Every decision I needed to take was one of going forwards and wanting to stall. 8 turns before darkness isn't long in Zombicide, where objectives, especially on larger maps, can be scattered. Darkness means zombies can't see, and you can only see one space ahead. But if you wish to shoot, you now need to roll a 6. To aid with this, you can use torches. These are tokens you place on the board and they light up an area, meaning all of you can now shoot at the zombies without penalty. But it also attracts the zombies towards you, and it feels great. It's a wonderful addition to the series, and people should be using it. This should have been in the base game. It should have been a base game mechanic, not trapped behind the campaign expansions that people won't bother with. Along with the objective marker cards, companions like the president or civilians to find and protect during missions, the going all out bonus attacks on the dice, which could potentially ruin your weapon, plus the ability to rescue KO'd teammates, the campaign mode itself, which lets you keep weapons from one scenario to the next along with XP and skills, looks great. I honestly can't wait to give it a go and hopefully bring it to this channel. I do feel like CMON never give you enough bits of paper, so you might want to take a pic and print some off, but there's 10 story missions in each add-on. They constantly get harder in difficulty as you progress, and I do feel, from the light reading that I've done of it, that if you survive to the end, you'll have an experience to remember, especially if you're playing with a group who really get into the immersion of games. I'm sure heroic sacrifices will be made for the good of the group. So if you couldn't tell, those inclusions are where I've had the most fun in my very short few playthroughs. They really bring out the second in the edition and make the experience feel unique, which the core game unfortunately lacks. Hell, Fort Hendricks even includes zombie shooters that really add to the experience. It's just a shame you only get 6 of the bleeders in the set. My biggest worry though is that I can't help but feel that these expansions, rules or campaigns won't be played much, especially since most people play Zombicide as one-offs with a family or a group, and again, I doubt I'm much different in that regard. But I urge you to give the new additions from ZC and Fort Hendricks a go, just to see how they change the game up. Anyway, I've ragged on enough. For me, there's no other game out there where John Cena, The Rock and John Wick can rock up in a zombie-infested city to protect a minigun-wielding Queen Elizabeth who ain't got time to bleed. Simon have created yet another chicken tikka masala. You know exactly how it tastes, and you'll no doubt be coming back for more, because it's Zombicide, Jack. It's Zombicide. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please drop me a like, leave a comment telling me what you always order from an Indian, and maybe even subscribe. If you have enjoyed this, please consider pledging to my Patreon so I can bring you even more reviews and hopefully watch more videos of mine. But for now, tatty bye.